Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Puzzle. This is Mike Mansfield and Tana Pennington, and I am frozen. What the heck? I don't know if you saw that, Tana. I was just frozen there for a second. I'm watching the show on the screen, and I'm just solid. But hey, thanks for joining us anyway. Obviously, Tana and I, we've been doing the podcast. Tony Shore and I have been doing the podcast, the radio show. All of those things have been going on for a long time. And now the good, exciting news that we started last week is this is also a video show. We always talk about things, right? We're talking about charts. We're talking about graphs. We're talking about information. I'm always referencing articles. And so we wanted to create the show as a great way to be able to show everybody the things that we're looking at. It also gives you a different platform to listen to our show. Yeah, you might be a subscriber to our podcast, but if you want to see the grace and beauty that I visually offer to the world, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Rumble, you can subscribe to our channels there. You can also see what Tana looks like. Tana, I don't know, she changed her she moves around. I don't know where she is.
I do.
Now she looks like she's in like, you look like you're in an Ethan Allen or something right now. It's incredible.
It's hard for me to sit in one place. I got to move around.
Is that what it is? Okay, fair enough. But in any case, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to Rumble channel, subscribe to our podcast, whatever it is. There's a lot of mediums to see this stuff. Also share it with your friends. One of the best things that drives us to do the show every week is all of the feedback that we get. We like our listeners. We like our viewers now. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you want us to be talking about. Obviously, at the Lynn Group, we do financial planning. Our focus is retirement income planning. We help people who are nearing or in retirement figure out how to figure it all out, right? What is the number 1 or 2 or 3 fear of retirement, Tana? Any guesses?
Outliving their money.
That's kind of the big stick, right? Nobody wants to outlive their money. So if you have a proper, healthy cash flow retirement plan, we've helped you organize your Social Security, your pensions, your income sources. We've helped you figure out how to use your investments to generate the appropriate income that you have. We've figured out your tax liability. Once we make a cohesive picture and make sure that there's plenty of money left over for all those ratty kids, then everybody gets to sleep well at night, right? And we live in a world right now where trying to find some good sleep is challenging. So, hey, anything that we can do to help. Actually, since I figured out how to do it from last week, I'm going to pop up a little banner. It's got our
great.
Our company webpage. It's got our phone number. So, hey, if you have questions, if you do not have a retirement plan, if you do not have a cash flow plan, or if you do and you're concerned about it, just with current events, people are asking me, the stock market seems high. What do I do? Things like that. What I just literally this morning fielded a question about Biden tax policy changes.
Yeah.
If things are freaking you out and stressing you out, just give us a call, 805-500-7035. Visit our main website, thelindgroup.com. Lind is L-Y-N-D. I'm popping the banner off now. See, I'm learning to be tech savvy here, so boom, it's gone. You had your chance to write it down if you didn't, but it might be back later. So in any case, let's get down to business. Tana,
yes.
I'm just going to stop talking. You take over.
No.
Okay, then I'm back to talking. We've been doing our Ronanomics for the last year. Some people like that. Some people hate that. Once again, I appreciate all of the feedback. So remember, I am a data-driven human being. Tana is an emotional human being. That's why we do the show together, because that way there's a good balance. But we all know that using emotions to make decisions is horrible.
Yeah,
so that's why I do 89% of the talking. The data is important, right? Though you need to be able to make objective, informed decisions because nothing is perfect. This is how you invest money. This is how you decide to take your Social Security. This is how you decide, which car to buy. Everything is about using information to make good, informed decisions. And so every week, not every week, but for most weeks for the last year, now that it's been this is like the 1-year anniversary or something since the lockdowns.
Yeah. Oh, that is so crazy.
That's a thing. But obviously checking the data. So here, let me do my little screen share thing. Wink. So for the people that are viewing this on YouTube, you can see what I'm at. So we, go to a number of websites where we can track all of the data and things based on COVID. We got a lot of charts, a lot of graphs. A lot of the information coming out lately is all about vaccines. How many
Mhm.
vaccines? I mean, it's hard to see on here because I'm not going to zoom in, but it says so far there's almost, well, as of this is from last week, so we know that there's over 100 million doses already administered of the vaccine, which is huge. But I thought for the week, this was an interesting statistic up in the right corner of the screen. It says, since their respective peaks, COVID-19 cases have plummeted 73%.
Mm.
Deaths have declined 54%. Hospitalizations down 71%.
That's great.
That is great.
Yeah.
And like I said, does that mean we don't have a problem tomorrow? No, but my goal is to try to find the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
Let's look at how things are trending. Do we still have an issue with COVID? Absolutely. Do we still need to be conscious of it? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But at least let's try to find some shiny stuff in all of this mess.
Right.
It goes on. Currently, COVID-19 patients occupy 12.2% of all ICU beds, while only 5.87% of total inpatient beds are being used. Remember why we had to have lockdowns in the fall here in California? Because they said we were hitting capacity and we needed to slow the curve, or however they verb it. Well,
Right.
the great news is it appears that has happened, for the moment, knock on wood, but you exasperated decline in new cases, exasperated decline in new hospitalizations and deaths with everybody getting vaccines, the people who have already had it having some kind of antibodies. We're getting, we're creeping up on Mr. Herd immunity.
Yeah, it's great.
So I love it. It's very exciting. And obviously you, the people, must like it too. Let me pull this up. I find this fascinating. I was looking at data. I like me the data. I showed you guys this last week on our show. Week. God, I'm like, geez, this is what 17 cups of coffee looks like. I guess. Just kidding. Just fired up. Last week I was nervous, being recorded. Look, I even wore a better shirt today.
Nice.
Last week I was like in my jammies or something.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try a little harder. So I even put on a shirt today.
Good.
Yeah, I was worried though. I was wearing a hat this morning because it was raining when I was coming out, and so because I have no hair, I had that like hat mark band across my forehead that was all indented. And I'm like, so I had to remember to take my hat off and like
I love it.
Rub it. I had to normalize my forehead so everyone's like, what did he walk into a bar? What happened? Yeah, feel bad for me.
Oh, that is awesome.
Write me a card. In any case, here I have it again. So as of March 12th, I have the high frequency data that we like to look at to see how the health of humans is doing. For example, initial jobless claims, people going on unemployment, still high, but it fell again last week. We like to see that. People staying on unemployment fell again last week, still high, but we like to see that. These are all positive indicators. Remember, my job function is to help people make good, certainly investment decisions. We do that with data. All of these data points look really good. The one right here in the middle that's interesting, box office receipts. Year over year, movie theater attendance is still down 83%. But remember, there was a point here where it was 99.9%.
Yeah.
So it's better. But look, just in the last week, up 130%.
Oh, good.
Guess what? People going back to the movies, which is so funny because I hear so many people say, no jokesies, literally before we did this, I had someone in the office dropping off some tax information to Connor. And I joked about this because I knew I was going to talk about it. And they're like, I wouldn't go to a movie theater. Well, a lot of people seem to disagree with you because everybody who said that the new normal would be the new normal lied, and it appears the old normal is the normal. Everybody wants to go in a restaurant. Everybody wants to get on a plane. Everybody wants to go to the theater. So that's booming up quickly. So as quickly as they're opening those theaters, hot diggity dog, they're going to the movies. It turns out watching it at home isn't the same.
I like seeing the TSA checkpoint data is increasing too as well. That means people are traveling. This is great.
It's shutting me down on my popcorn comment, but okay, we can move on to that. But no, what a great point. If you guys recall last week, year over year, TSA checkpoints was down 55%, meaning, that's a lot of reduction in people going through. And just in the last month, it's up 46%. Week over week, it's up 10%. People are going back to the airport. This vaccine is helping to normalize people's attitudes. Once again, this is not a statement that we're out of the woods and we have no problems, and don't ever hold me to that. This country's got plenty of issues with this junk, but the vaccines are helping to normalize people's habits and attitudes. People are going back to the theater, whether you think they should or not. They're getting on planes. They're going to hotels. They're doing all of this stuff. It's, that's good.
Refreshing.
It's funny is year over year, the last one, supply of motor gasoline, it's hardly down at all, which means everybody's back to driving as much as they were pre-COVID. So, all of those things imply something. I like high frequency data because it helps us understand the story a little quicker instead of waiting for once a month or once a quarter for the the country's economics to come out. The other thing that's driving the old stock market higher is the old PPI. PPI is another variation of measuring inflation. And PPI was borderline anemic in February, rose to 0.5%, which was very benign. Everybody has been scared to death of inflation, at least if you turn on the news. That's why interest rates are going up and everybody's freaking out. The real reason that people are scared of inflation, in part, is because of printing money. Tana, can you think of any situation possibly anywhere where the government is printing money at all?
Like right now?
Have they printed any money lately that you can think of?
Well, they're going to probably have to do this 1.9 trillion trillion.
What? You mean they don't have it?
No.
I just picture the government with a giant wallet with a rubber band around it. Actually, no rubber band around it because they don't seem to be very sticky with the money.
No.
So you're right. So they just passed the giant stimulus bill. Last week, we kind of made the premise of the show about the stimulus bill, whereas this week is the byproduct of the stimulus bill. You would be shocked. All I wanted to know was what was in the stimulus bill. And so I Googled it. And I had to go through dozens and dozens of websites to find one website that broke it down. Every website focused on one thing. Oh, you're going to get $1,400. It's everybody focuses on that. And I finally kind of found the breakdown because I hear about it on the news, hear about it on different things, but I couldn't find for myself, show me the piece of paper where I can see it. So this article, which you guys can see if you're watching the show, COVID stimulus price tag, $17,000 per person. I'm going to stop there because if you read the detail, what they're doing is they're saying will cost taxpayers $17,000 each. Well, not everybody in this country is a taxpayer.
Good point.
So there's kids and things like that. And so if you really did the math on every individual in the country, it's about $6,000 per person. But when you factor in who actually pays any taxes, like Tana, because I don't.
I do.
I'd have to file to pay. Oh, no. Do everything prudently. Cost $17,000 per taxpayer.
Ouch.
Tana, they're gonna give you $1,400. So you give them $17,000, they give you $1,400. We call it good. How is that not a good deal to you?
That is not a good deal.
Well, look, Tana, the money is designed to fight COVID-19. How selfish
no,
of you.
it's not. There's a laundry list. Actually, one of the House representatives called it a Christmas tree package.
And the computer's wigging out. I'm losing my computer.
So it's not looking good. There's a list of things that are included in this.
Really?
Yes.
But it's called COVID-19 stimulus.
Yeah. No. Sorry.
I was wigging. My thing was wigging out. Can you see my screen anymore, Tana?
No.
Yeah, I had to turn it off. I don't know what was happening. I short fused somehow. I'm still having a little wiggy. Huh. That's what you get. You buy the supercomputer and then it falls apart on you. It's really nice. Okay, so let me try this again, everybody. It's still not working right. Isn't that the irony? We do a show so everyone can see my stuff, and then nothing works.
Right when you need it.
Okay.
It's awesome.
So it's showing a black page. That's useless. Anyways, okay, forget that for a second. I gotta remove this thing. It's freaking out. All right, I removed it. We're moving on. Okay, so anyways, the COVID-19 stimulus bill is designed to help fight COVID-19. At least that's what I was told.
Yeah, but what about the $600 million going to San Francisco?
What about it? They have a budget deficit. What's that got to do with anything? That's
That
COVID. It's a COVID deficit.
I'm not buying it.
You're not buying. All right, so that's a good point though. San Francisco specifically, let's see, they have a 92%, or excuse me, they have just over a $600 million budget deficit because they mismanaged their money. You know what's funny? They have tents. They have a tent city that they set up for the homeless. It's not funny, actually. It's very tragic. The funny thing is the cost of it. And so when you look at what their budget is and you break it down per tent, it comes out to be $5,000 a month per tent. Like, what the hell are they doing? I mean, that tent must be significantly nicer than my home. Like, it makes no sense. But as usual, the federal government now is going to bail them out, even though they can't figure out what a reasonably priced tent should look like. Let's see here.
No bueno.
Find this thing here, stimulus, price tag, share. Yeah, the sharing feature isn't working today. It's making me sad. Well, okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to read it instead of sharing it. So now anyone listening is getting the same VIP treatment as watching the show, except you get to see us. Okay, so when they break down the math of the $1.9 trillion, now let's take a step back. The federal government has already created like over $5 trillion in this in the last year. They still have $1 trillion they have not spent.
Good point.
So, well, wait a second. What are we raising more money for?
Right.
If we haven't even spent the money that we have, and it seems to me $1 trillion is a lot of buckarooskies that could go around to helping a lot of people with a lot of problems. So I don't know. So anyways, we passed this new $1.9 trillion. Remember, for COVID, let's keep that in perspective, right? Remember, we have a national debt. We have all kinds of issues in this country. We're trying to pass money to help a crisis. Oh, less than 9% actually goes to battling COVID-19. That's interesting. 27%, over $500 billion, goes to state and local governments to bail out any budget deficits that they've created. So even if their spending has nothing to do with COVID-19 and it's mismanagement of a government like San Francisco, spending $5,000 a month on tents, per tent rather, and they have a lot of tents. We're just going to bail them out for giggle's sake. 21% goes to policies that reduce private sector employment. Okay, that makes a lot of no sense. $135 million goes to the National Endowment for the Arts. Tana?
We're in a crisis. Why are we worried about arts and...
Well, what if those pictures get COVID on them? You got to be able to wipe the COVID off the picture.
I mean, right? I absolutely am a fan of arts and humanities and libraries and museums and national parks and all of those things. But I'm
glad you're a fan, because that's next. $135 million for humanities, $200 million for museums and library services.
Wow.
Ouch. Wait a second. COVID crisis, but we raised, I don't know what that is,
it doesn't make sense.
$470 million of this bill goes to arts, humanities, museums, and libraries. What the heck? Like, honestly, this show is supposed to be about individual retirement planning, but the reason I bring this stuff up is not to just be some kind of political bashing thing or something. All of these things impact your finances as an individual. If our country is going to just drive up a boatload of debt, it's going to make potential inflation for you. It's going to make tax issues for you. That's why we talk about this train wreck. But you read this stuff, and once again, it's so fascinating. I read the new COVID bill was 6,000 pages long. 6,000 pages.
That's impossible to read that. Impossible.
I had a hard time reading this article. So you're going to tell me that all the Congress people that vote on this junk read 6,000 pages?
No way.
Give a big breakdown. Anyways, $12 billion goes for foreign aid, not COVID foreign aid, just foreign aid. Let's help some people out. What is spent this year from the $1.9 trillion? So this gets even weirder because they put aside $130 billion for schools, kindergarten to 12th grade. but they're only spending $6 billion of it this year.
Yeah.
Like what? I thought we were in a COVID crisis.
Right.
So why would we pre-authorize all of this money for
way ahead of time?
future years? Like, what does that have to do? What do I care about the school 2 years from now? We care about it right now. What are the boots on the ground issues that need to be done to get these schools back in action? So we've reserved a bunch of money for them. 5%, $250 million of the $5 billion for emergency housing vouchers. You know, I guess you could argue that's kind of COVID created if someone lost their job or something. So that's
right.
Okay. $7 billion for childcare, $11 billion for Federal Emergency Management Agency, $5 billion for homeless assistance. So I mean, obviously, those are good things in concept. But once again, less than 9% of this actually goes to COVID-19. The other thing too that we talked about last week is it's increasing unemployment benefits. It's obviously sending any adult who makes a certain amount of money $1,400, and every child too. So a typical family of 4 making under 150 grand will get $5,600 in COVID help. Woohoo! You know what's funny though? Like think about that, Tana. So if you file your 2020 taxes right now, what year did you make that money?
2019.
Tana.
If I file, I'm sorry.
Filing your taxes right now for 2020.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking of, okay.
You're saying I misspoke. If I had said you were filing in 2020.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry. So
anything I can do to make you look bad and me look smarter, I'm all over
terrible.
right now.
So 2020.
So you just filed your 2020 taxes, right?
Yeah, correct.
And you can use that 2020 tax return to qualify for all of this stimulus. And so on that tax return, it says, did you make 150 grand or less? Which means you could have made 150 grand. So it is saying for people in 2020 who made 150 grand during the crisis, we better get them some stimulus money. Yeah. It sounds like they were doing terrible last year.
They were fine.
Like, am I taking crazy pills? Like, wasn't this all designed for the people that are hurting? Hey, you lost your job, you're on house arrest, you have issues. Yes. But by the way, during all of that, if you made 150 grand, don't worry, we're gonna hook you up anyways. Like what? It sounds like they did just fine.
It's terrible.
Give them the money. Show me the money. Anyways, I thought that was a little nutter butters, but that's okay.
Yeah, did you see that article on federal employees? They get that.
Yeah, I've got that article here. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Like
pretty interesting.
We've had some crises with sharing here today. Well, it's interesting because to me, everything gets buried, right? Yeah. So every time we bury something, hey, that worked. Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's a miracle. I'm back in action. So here, this is one of those. So this is off of Forbes, you know, a completely biased. No, I'm just kidding. I was trying to say it's more of a mainstream thing. What's it called? Pay to stay home. Coronavirus aid bill pays federal employees with kids out of school up to $21,000. Yeah. Well, that's weird. I don't remember hearing about this. And so you kind of got to go into the small print. Which part of the bill? There was a name on this one. Blah, 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 blah. Where is it? I'm scrolling too fast.
So it's for family leave.
Yeah, the Emergency Federal Employee Leave Fund.
Yes.
So if you have kids school-age kids at home, there's now $600 million that they set aside for federal employees so that they can basically take leave until September 30th, up to 600 hours, get paid $35 an hour to stay at home with their kids. Now, wait a second. What, Tana, do you have kids? No, you don't. Mike, yes. Do you have kids at home? I do. In fact, I have 4 children at home, 3 who are in school, trapped there like prisoners. Ironically, if they go to school, that's like prison too at this point. But no matter what, they're in prison. But I don't remember them saying, hey, anybody, if you're trapped with school-age kids at home, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you $35 an hour to sit on your caboose at home.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Like what? Like, well, there's so many double standards in all of this. Like, what is the distinction of a federal employee versus any other person in this country who
Right.
has that issue? I don't know, but for some reason there
Well,
is a distinction.
and they already have 12 weeks paid leave.
Yeah. So they're just
So,
massively tacking it on, but they can get another $20,000+ out of this sitting at home.
yep.
Which is fantastic. Did you see the other one? Oh my gosh, there's so many things with this COVID stimulus bill. I had no idea what we were getting into. The other one that came out was, and I didn't read the details of it, but it was something like, if you're a farmer, you can get any loan that you took last year. You can get, the government is going to wipe out the loan at 120%.
Wow.
So they wiped out your loan, and then they give you 20%. But that only applies to non-white farmers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, I mean, for a country that screams everything's racist, now the government is solely practicing absolute racism. But hey, once again, this is not a political show. This is for your retirement plans of sorts. So that was depressing. Jeez, Tana.
I'm sorry. I wish I had good news.
A lot of electric bikes getting sold this month. All that extra stimulus money that no one needed. I have no problem with people getting money when they need help.
Yes, I
have
totally
no problem
agree.
helping people.
Right.
But honestly, I come into more and more and more people now that everyone's kind of on the other side of this from a financial standpoint. Most of my clients are retired. Most of my clients have stable income. Most of my clients are doing just okay. And then the irony is most of my clients didn't get to travel, didn't get to do things last year, didn't spend the extra money. So they actually were sitting on more money anyways.
Right.
Ready to go. So it is a fascinating conundrum for sure. But either way, it is what it is. This all plays into retirement planning, right? In the big picture, when you're making good financial decisions, you have to understand the nature of the world. We're going to be talking a lot this year probably about the potential of inflation. How printing money and doing things can be very problematic potentially. We're going to talk about that and beat that to death. If that comes to fruition, so be it, because some things we can't control, right? We can't control these big picture spending bills. We can't control tax policy and legislation. What we can control is ourselves, our own finances, our own decisions. We need to be pretty vigilant with this stuff. And you need a partner like me and Tana that can help you make good decisions. Literally this morning, I don't know why is everything today? Why did everything happen today?
It's Monday.
I had a lot happen before this show. I just literally had a phone call with a client that was like, hey, you know what? I don't know. I'm thinking about just taking more out of my IRA every month. What do you think? And I said, well, wait a second. When we built the plan with your Social Security and your IRA distributions, we're sitting there. We're sitting right at the limit of your entire income. You're making $75,000 a year, completely tax-free. And so as soon as you start taking a little more out, it's all taxable. And so let me figure it all out. And I figured out, the way the math would work on Social Security. And it's like all of a sudden every dollar is taxed at 20% if it comes out. And what was funny was that after the conversation, the client said, oh, well, I'm glad I called you first because I didn't understand any of that. And, to me, just taking some more money out didn't seem like that big of a deal. But now I realize that if I'm just going to take it out to plop it in my savings, but I got to pay a bunch of tax on it unnecessarily, it doesn't make any sense. That's our job function, right? Is to be a good guide, a good Sherpa, to be unemotional. So call me nothing. And just kidding. You can call Tana. Tana actually does more than me. I actually call Tana and ask her every question before I call people back.
I try to answer everybody's phone call. I really do.
Tana's good about it.
Yeah.
Tana, as you guys all know, is also the most seasoned Medicare expert ever.
Yes.
Perhaps the funnest thing she does in life.
No.
Medicare. Hey.
Oh, I said that out loud. Oops.
Honestly, is the best policy. Honestly.
Yeah.
But those are things that are very important. It's so hard to navigate all of this stuff. But this is why we do it. So, hey, this has been kind of a daunting show this week. Obviously, we kind of beat the whole stimulus bill to death. We were talking about it last year. This is not how every week is supposed to be. So we're probably kind of done talking about the stimulus bill for the
Yeah.
moment. And, moving forward, once again, any information that you'd like us to talk about, any topics, any thoughts, let us know. Reach out to us. Here, I'm going to pop it. Call us 805-500-7035. Visit our main website. But honestly, we'll talk about, what makes sense. Moving forward, Tana and I were talking about, we're going to try to do a little more of some retirement planning stuff over the next couple of weeks. We're going to break out some different investment ideas, talking about, for example, what the heck is an annuity? There's so much confusing stigma about those. We're going to talk about some of our investment portfolios. We're going to talk about some of our cash flow planning that we do with clients. So definitely stay tuned and be aware of what the shows are, because these are good things to share with your friends.
Yes.
We'll even do a rehashing of our Social Security class and things like that.
Yep.
But subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Rumble. That way you can get access to these things wherever you view stuff, and they're very easy to share. And once again, we love our listeners. We love the opportunity to be able to reach out to you and get a little bit of feedback and thought on what we do. So anyways, I bid you adieu.
Have a great day.